The bargain of a lifetime, American real estate at rock-bottom prices, available now to cashed-up Australian investors. Sound too good to be true? That's because, unless you're very lucky, it is. Thousands of Australians have been enticed to snap up residential properties in the stagnant US market to capitalise on the heartbreak of countless Americans who lost their homes during the global financial crisis. The Spruikers promise returns far higher than those available in Australian property markets. But some investors wasted their life savings on roll gold duds. Greg Hoy reports.
I'm going to reopen the bidding, ladies and gentlemen.
Negative growth in Australian home values in recent years has seen hordes of Australians drawn to the American dream, riding the strong Australian dollar into the US housing market, which in large areas has remained depressed since a huge housing bubble and glut of subprime properties helped trigger the global financial crisis.
You can buy almost anything in a larger city and you will not lose, and you will kill the returns that you will get in Australia.
Now is obviously an incredible opportunity.
Sydney investor and buyer agent Emma McGrath and Qantas pilot Jeremy Laws have made good money buying and selling dozens of US properties, but warn the Australian investment frenzy is attracting a great school of sharks.
It is so tragic and it is so hard to hear these stories. People are losing their life savings and it is unbelievable.
Hi, and welcome to My USA Property, leaders in helping Australian investors buy USA investment property.
It's still the home of Tom Cruise. It's, you know, whether you like it or not, there's still a lot of wealth.
Founder of My USA Property, Andrew Allen, is one of many offering a smorgasbord of dirt-cheap US properties, all of which are subtly owned and or sold into limited liability companies or LLCs, which avoid consumer protection laws and regulations for non-residents.
It's a very easy way for the less scrupulous purchasers to circumvent the property regulations in Australia and in the States. It's pure offshore Wild West stuff.
Bargains galore Americans just can't afford, or so the Spruikers say, promising to take care of everything, from property managers to renovators, mortgage brokers, stable tenants to pay back the debt, adding the lure of huge capital gains as the US dollar and economy recover. It sounds too good to be true, and very often it is.
We don't charge you a service fee, so you have nothing to lose.
You have nothing to lose but your life savings.
It is my life savings and he is responsible, even though he's not taking responsibility for it.
Melbourne school teacher Gavin Hicks believed Andrew Allen's assurances. He was asked to pay a service fee of $13,000 to invest his $65,000 savings in small apartments in Ohio and a home in Detroit. But the only tenants he got were squatters. His investment, worth nowhere near what he paid, has now been boarded up. Andrew Allen has gone missing in America.
He was making guarantees that they'll be paying themselves off within a couple of years. Detroit, Michigan was a bad place to invest in. Even though the house looked fine, the actual neighbourhood was obviously, it wasn't a good idea. It was pretty silly. But I was going through what Andrew was saying, basically, and I had faith in what he was selling.
Andrew Allen is a fool to himself and a burden to others. What he's doing is unconscionable. If you buy a two-bedroom apartment in Trump Tower and Fifth Avenue in New York, you'll never have a tenant problem. If you go to an area in Detroit with a 20% return, you're going to need a handgun to collect the rent.
Indeed, the trial continues in Detroit for the man who allegedly shot and killed Australian investor Greg McNichol from Victoria, who was trying to collect a late rent payment from the accused's daughter.
More people have guns in the United States than don't have guns. We've already had one Australian investor killed over there, and many others are being slaughtered financially.
Many, but not all. My USA Property does have some contented customers, like Brisbane surveyor Steve Cooper, who personally surveyed his properties before purchasing.
We researched a lot. There is a lot of people out there doing it and selling it. They don't know what they're doing. They are full of lies.
They prey on fear, and once they've conquered the fear thing with you, you feel safe with them, then they'll sell you an overpriced property.
My USA Property's Andrew Allen did not respond to 730's repeated requests for an interview, and he's not alone. There is, it seems, a certain type of salesman flourishing as Australians flock into the US housing market to try their luck. And where better to try your luck than in the world's gambling capital, Las Vegas?
What bothers me about these promoters of these properties is that they are shonky people.
In hindsight, I think it's been the worst mistake of our life. I'd strongly recommend other people to get their facts in hand before they make any conscious decisions to buy properties in the US.
Queensland policeman Alan Wilkie pinned his and wife Gillian's retirement hopes and $300,000 on assurances given by Jason Paris of US Properties. The Wilkies bought an LLC title to a foreclosed house and townhouse in Las Vegas, which never delivered the rental returns assured by Jason Paris and can't be resold for anything near the price paid.
It looks like the retirement plans are shot to pieces. I'll probably have to work till I'm 100.
US Properties say they charge clients an $8,000 marketing fee, but only later did public records reveal the Wilkies properties had in fact cost $37,000 less than what Jason Paris had suggested. The promoters now say that that was for improvements, but the Wilkies say that sadly they had to make their own improvements, and now they've found that this is an all too familiar story.
I have sat in people's lounge rooms and seen elderly folk crying in front of me because of having dealt with Jason Paris.
Neil Genman has long campaigned for improved ethics in the real estate industry. He's particularly critical of Andrew Allen's co-founding director of My USA Property and later US Property Sales Australia, Trent Richards.
Well, Trent Richards is, to me, he's synonymous with the word shonk.
Are you loving it? Yeah, you know I'm loving it.
These are Trent Richards' own videos. He's a high flyer with a penchant for helicopters and fast cars, but has a scandal-plagued history with the Insight Investment Corporation, now in receivership.
Trent Richards has form in selling overpriced properties in Australia. Now he's selling properties in the United States.
Trent Richards did not respond to interview requests. US Property Sales, which he later founded, is still pitching for customers, as is My USA Property and CEO Andrew Allen's new venture, Prime USA Property, now targeting overseas investors.
Welcome to Prime USA Property, leaders in sourcing USA property to international investors.
So they're still out there, and while authorities like ASIC and the Office of Fair Trading suggest they have limited jurisdiction and so are powerless to stop them, the moral of this story becomes buyers beware.
Even if I don't get my money back, I want to see Andrew Allen held to account for what he's done as well.
The biggest thing you need to know is to do your own due diligence. Know what you're buying, know who's going to rent it, and deal with licensed professionals, because if you get burnt, you might want to consider legal recourse, and you'd better make sure that you actually have it.
Greg Hoy with that report.